Girl, be you. That's all that you can do. Girl, be you. That's all that you can do. Don't be nobody else. Don't be nobody else.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the Girl Be You podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. You know, here at this podcast, we are creating a space for you to be your most authentic self in a world full of chaos. I'm so happy that you all are here with us this week. Well, here with me because this is a solo podcast. And from time to time, we'll have some guests, but this week we are solo, and I'm so glad to have you all back to share with me, to be inspired, to grow, to laugh, and all the things that we do here at this podcast. So, thank y'all so much for joining me. Special segment of Girl, let me say this. So, y'all, back in 2020, when the pandemic first started, I don't know if y'all were like me, but you were at the grocery store all the time, okay? I was always, and when I say always, I was always at the grocery store because one, they had created so much panic that I was just like, oh my gosh, I gotta get stuff before it runs out, and there's gonna be no food. We're all gonna die. You know, I'm talking early on pandemic. I'm talking like that Friday being at work and my boss saying, okay, we'll see you in a couple of days. Child, I ain't seen them since. Okay. Um, it's funny, but it's not funny. But yeah, because we're on the other side of it. But I'm talking about those days. I'm talking about the days when they really had 6 feet where you had to stand 6 feet from each other. Low key, I actually want that to come back because people had a sense of backup off me, and now they really don't. Like, they be on my shoulder, and I have to look back at least 3 or 4 times to say, yo, what are you doing, and why are you so close to me right now? Okay. um I'm talking about those days, and it felt like, yes, the grocery store was expensive, but some kind of how it wasn't that expensive in my mind. I was just saying, like, during the pandemic, I felt like I was spending a solid 200, maybe three, pushing it at four. But there was so much panic that I felt like I had to buy groceries in that manner. So I just remember that things were just, things were priced fairly well. I felt like it was expensive, but it was priced fairly well. And in recent years, what are we, 3 years out of the pandemic? Honestly, time and understanding like how far we've been out of the pandemic, it really just all merges together for me because I just can't even believe that we lived through a pandemic. Like, that is literally something that we'll be talking about for years. But I digress. So recently, going to the grocery store, and I know that this is something that we've all been saying for quite some time, that the government and whoever is back there pricing these groceries and gas, y'all are trying to get it back in blood. I mean, the pandemic was not our fault. So I'm just trying to understand. I am really trying to understand why bread is almost $7. Now, we are vegans over here, and I am really trying to understand why more than 12 items is $85. And I mean a solid 85. It's wild to me, okay? Um, the last time I was in the grocery store, I should have taken a photo of what we bought at the grocery store to be completely shocked that it was $70. I didn't even feel like I got anything before things. To be fair, it was probably like 10. But also, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me right now? $70 for 12 things? That's wild. That is absolutely wild to me, and I just can't get over that. So I've been heavily considering starting my own garden. And I know that some of you all listening, like, girl, yeah, you should have been did that because that is the way. The conspiracy, they putting stuff in our food and this and that. Hey, you conspiracy theorists, y'all can keep it to yourselves because I'm not here for it. All I said is that the groceries are high and I am considering getting a garden. Okay. Now leave me be about how I do that because I just really don't understand the prices. But more than anything, I feel like I want to get a green thumb to learn how to grow my own food, to know that there aren't any things in it, and to make sure that, that I'm eating as clean as possible. Now, when I say as clean as possible, your girl will cheat with a ginger ale and a bag of Lay's. Judge your mammies. You understand? Because the bag of Lay's and the ginger ale, and I'm talking ginger ale Canada Dry, not that Schweppes stuff. Okay, I don't know who decided that Schweppes was ginger ale. Again, I digress. The point here is that grocery stores really got us messed up, and I think that we should all be growing our own gardens, growing our food in our own gardens. That's what I believe. Now, is it possible? Yes. Does it require a bit of work? Absolutely. I just feel like my bank account, our bank account, will really appreciate us in the long run. Because, baby, y'all done lost your minds. And I want to talk to whoever's pricing it. Because why does it cost that much money? Why? Why is the vegan cheese so expensive? Why are lemons so expensive? I mean, I'm literally just going to get lemons, limes, some sweet potatoes, some mushrooms. Y'all are crazy in that pricing department. Put that sticker gun down and get these prices down. Because clearly, you must go to jail for these prices. I'm just saying, I think that we all collectively should start growing our own foods. And if you are, please let me know in the comments. I'm going to post it on my story as well. Are y'all interested in growing your own garden? And if so, how soon are we starting? And if you currently have a garden, please let me know. Please let me know how things are faring for you. Because we out here fighting for our lives going to the grocery store. And that's all I have to say on let me say this season. Over here at the podcast, season 3, we've been focusing on spotlighting a Black business. And y'all know I love supporting Black women, seeing Black women thrive. It is just my thing. I absolutely love it. And I think that it is amazing. This week, we are spotlighting a young lady who I actually follow on Instagram. And I know that you guys are like, I thought you know these people. Listen, I stand back from afar and I cheer for people who are doing great work. And this spotlight goes out to Clara's Chic Closet. Clara's Chic Closet has been showcased on ABC Chicago, Voyage Atlanta, and Bravo TV. And she creates travel bags, totes, passport holders, and everything. It is so amazing. And I believe that she created this business as her grandmothers were her inspiration. She's doing such an amazing job with just being consistent, but also just showing up as a Black woman and giving us things that, and making this a lane for the things that she is creating, which is travel wear. So here's our shout out to Clara Chic Closet. Keep doing what you're doing. We over here at Girl Be You are cheering for you, rooting for you, and telling you, girl, be you. All right, y'all, let's get into our topic for today. So if you are a part of the Girl Be You community, you know that I shared this topic last week during our newsletter. And I am in a season where I am heavy on the, okay, girl. And if we know what that means as a Black woman, you know what that means. And it can mean a whole lot of things, right? Okay, girl could be, all right, girl, that's what you believe. I'm going to go with it. It could be like, okay, girl, I agree with you. Either way, for me, the okay girl really, that mindset really means whatever you say, I'm with it. And I want to give a bit of backstory as to how I got here and why I am in that season. If you've been here a while, if you've been reading my blogs for years and years, and if you have heard any of my Insta stories and all of those amazing things, you know that I come from a background of contorting myself to make sure that I please the people in my life, to please the friends, the family, and it even went as far as me pleasing my coworkers and bosses so that I would be presumed as this person that was a team player, that was always in your corner, and I would invest all of my energy, all of my efforts into your life and making sure that you knew that I loved you and I loved you hard and I was going to stay in your corner 10 toes down with you completely. And in doing that, that also brought about this mindset of where I was constantly in a space of learning things and gaining knowledge. And in gaining that knowledge, every interaction, I felt that it was important for me to share the knowledge with people that came to me to talk to me. And it was my job to help save them and rescue them and lift them up and take them to a higher level in life, right? It sounds dramatic. It sounds very drastic. But the reality is that that was my life. And not only was it my life, I know that someone that is listening to this, you can agree because you have been there. Okay. And so when I was at this point of feeling like I always wanted to save somebody, I always wanted to give them the best advice, what I found was my return on that investment didn't always yield the best results, right? My sense of wanting to be the people's champ, wanting to see people win, wanting to get in the trenches with people resulted in me learning over so many times and so many lessons that, girl, these people that you are going to bat for, although they are appreciative, they didn't ask you for none of that. They did not ask you to contort your body into a box so that they can sit on it and be comfortable. They didn't ask you for that. You're going above and beyond to give somebody something that they never asked for. And then, in turn of me doing all of those things, I felt empty and upset because the people that I was going to bat for and doing all of that for never said thank you. And honestly, why would they? Why would they say thank you for something that I found value in doing and they never asked for, right? So this realization of getting to this point, it took a long time for me to get to the point to be like, gee, people did not ask for that. And they did not ask for you to give your knowledge to them. They literally came here to get dinner and have a drink. They did not ask for your advice. They did not ask for you to invest all of this into them, right? And I have shared this, that there comes a point when life changes. I think I shared this in like a podcast or a blog or maybe a conversation that I had. I remember turning 25 and my mother telling me, gee, when you turn 25, life goes really fast. And me being 25, believing that I knew everything, I was like, nah, that ain't really how it's gonna go. And here I am, 15 years later, saying that my mother was absolutely right. Okay? She was right because in every major milestone in my life, I remember how things changed, right? I remember mentally changing, physically changing, because my body wasn't the same. My body shifted, my mind shifted. And in my mind and body shifting, I also realized that a lot of things that I did when I was in my 20s and when I was a teenager, I wasn't able to keep that same momentum mentally or physically in my late 30s and now 40. I just had to be honest with myself. It was at the top of this year that I realized I took for real inventory of all the things that I had been doing, all the ways that I had been moving, and realizing that that could no longer be. Moving in that way, I couldn't do that anymore. Not just because it was bad for my mental or, now that I'm older, I can't do all of those things. It wasn't just that. It was that I really had to undo these unhealthy mindsets, habits that were really causing me to have so much anxiety inside. And I always have to remind myself that anxiety is literally me thinking about instances that never ever happened. So at the top of the year, I started realizing like, gee, you really have to start choosing yourself and choosing to be selfish. Now, the way I grew up, being selfish was considered a bad thing because I grew up in a very strict Pentecostal apostolic background. So being selfish was like, that's not one of the pillars. We're givers. We always give. We always show up for people because that is what we have been taught. That is what Jesus teaches us, and I do agree with that. But also there's a balance, right? There's a balance in knowing that there comes a time where you have to say, all right, girlfriend, that's enough. Enough is enough. Okay. So at the top of the year, I started feeling this sense of like, all right, girl, enough is enough. You are doing too much and putting other people's expectations and perspectives about you on the forefront and you are on the back burner. And when you begin to take inventory of how you move about, it gets real. Okay? It get real. So I remember making this decision, this active decision to say, hey, I am going to choose myself. I'm going to choose what I want to do, how I want to do that, and also realizing that other people's chaos cannot interrupt my peace. Baby, that's a word. I'm going to give you some time to go write that down. Other people's chaos cannot be the thing that interrupts your peace. So in realizing that, I started to get to the point of telling me, gee, it is not your job to rescue other people. Maybe you are in a season of just listening. And just listening means getting to the point of saying, okay, girl. If that's how you see it, okay, girl. Okay, girl. Because when you exert so much energy trying to save everybody else, trying to get people to see your point of view, do you know how stressful that is? That is mad stressful to let somebody or force somebody to see from your perspective. And honestly, they don't even have to see from your perspective. That's the beautiful thing about this life, is that we all have our own pair of eyes. and we have our own experiences. I was on a call with somebody, baby, they was going down the list. And this and this and this and this and this and this. Had this been me 3 years ago, I would have rebutted everything. Okay? I would have rebutted. I would have had an answer and a rebuttal for all of their points. And now, what I realize is, okay, girl, if that is your laundry list of what you see and what you feel and how you felt, I respect that. I don't see it that way, but I respect that. All right, girl. Okay, girl. I'm telling you, I am heavy in the season of okay. And when you live in that season, when you come over here on this side of the street where I am, listen, it is uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable because if you're anything like me, you've never had to live this way. You've always lived from the place of, I'm going to get them told, I'm going to tell them, I'm going to show them how this thing go. You always live in that place because that's what you've always done. But when you come over to the avenue of okay, girl, one, it is very uncomfortable. It's super uncomfortable because you're stretching a muscle that you haven't always used, right? So getting to the place of saying, all right, girl, that's how you see it. All right. That's difficult because you're so used to using a different muscle, right? Number two, living over here, you begin to walk in your authenticity. It seems like saying okay is cowing down to someone else. It's really not. Okay. It's really not. And that's the place that I am right now in trying to understand that my okay girl doesn't mean that I'm being less of myself or being less authentic. It only means that I'm living more authentic to myself because I am making the decision not to go back and forth. That's my decision. Okay. I am choosing to have peace. I am choosing to protect my, space. Right. So one, it's uncomfortable. Two, you begin to live authentically to what you believe to be true for you. That's how you choose to live. And then it is self-acceptance, accepting where you are. And you get settled in that, right? So going back to my mother's point about how when you at all these different points, when your life changes and you turn like these different ages, you really get to a point like, I am truly accepting me. And let me tell y'all something. I never thought that I would be the girl that would be in the house and be okay with choosing the life that I want to live. There is such a beauty in that, right? There is such a beauty that I no longer have to live a life in which it is sprinkled so heavily with other people's opinions of me. Do I struggle? Hell yeah. I struggle. I struggle with that because, again, this is a new muscle. This is a new way of living. I am choosing to live this way. I am choosing to say, no, I don't want to do that. I want to make the best choice for myself. So, yes, that is often difficult. It's uncomfortable, but I am learning to live authentically according to how I want to live and not based off of someone else's opinion of what I should do. And more than anything, I am learning to have self-acceptance of who I am. And y'all, honestly, that is the beauty of this whole idea of girl be you, right? Each week I get on here and I share these topics because these topics push us in the direction of really being your most authentic self in a world that is full of chaos, right? So I want you to lean so heavily into your season of, okay, girl, however that looks for you. Maybe that looks like, oh, nah, today I ain't arguing. I'm not going back and forth. Or, okay, girl, they can't come to dinner with you, so you got to take yourself. Okay, girl, I'm gonna be right over here. I ain't trying to save nobody. I ain't trying to rescue nobody. I'm living in my world of okay, girl. And sometimes your okay, girl is really learning to accept yourself. That is the beauty in this life that we're living, right? Y'all, I hope that this short message of living in your season of okay, girl has inspired you and pushed you in the direction of really living authentically to who you are. Y'all, thank you so much for joining me. If you haven't already, sign up for the newsletter and visit the website www.girlbu.com. Follow me on Instagram at G_girlbu. And also, y'all know I have launched my Patreon. So here at the podcast, I share the inspiration. Over on the Patreon, y'all getting a little bit more. You get the behind the scenes. You get to hear conversations that never, ever, 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 ever make it to the podcast. So if you want to be a part of that, make sure that you go over to Patreon. You can find me. I will add it into the show notes. Y'all, I just want as many Black women, especially, to live authentically to themselves so that we can really, really, really live our most authentic life. Thank you so much for joining me on this week's podcast. Until next time, girl, be you. Bye, y'all.
Girl, be you. That's all that you